Hi. This is going to be my sort of reaction, initial thoughts on Forever Fall, and my room is very bright. I apologise for, for this. It's a very sunny day outside. This is the lighting that I'm stuck with if I want to record today. And I've put this off. You can tell time has passed because my hair's been done. It's different a bit. So, yeah, I've been putting this off because it's gonna be sad. I might cry. I don't know. I have tissues in my room. I hope I don't cry, but if I do, it's fine. I'm prepared. Oh God. Okay. Let's get to it. Let's go. Bring on the suffering, Rooster Teeth. I can't listen to sad songs. I'm the person that skips Cold every time it comes on in the soundtrack. I don't know what this is going to be about. I'm seeing the purest statue in my head and I'm already getting emotional. That trick in music when people get like positive and happy lyrics and then they put them to slow music just to make it like it hurt more. Oh. Oh God. Everything's all shiny and new and good and felt noticed for the first time, and oh honey, no. See, I'm very conflicted about that line. I was going to say, we didn't hear this bit in the episode, did we? I'll go back to that thing I felt conflicted about. Okay. It's quite lovey-dovey at the moment. I thought it'd be a bit more tragic. I suppose if you're invested in the ship, it is very tragic, but Arcos is not so much my cup of tea. It's interesting using the words Forever Fall, because obviously that's like the forest in RWBY. You know? It's interesting when they're reusing these sort of motifs and language. Yeah, this is... Sometimes, like, the singer doesn't seem to matter so much in a song, and it's just like a sort of song, but yeah, this seems to be Pyrrha. I knew it'd relate to Pyrrha, but yeah. I love Pyrrha so much. This is physically hurting me. Oh my God. Very much sort of, yeah, it's a lot of autumn sort of language and stuff relating in here, because obviously full maiden. But this is very sort of soulmatey, people are meant to be together kind of look on destiny and love and stuff. It's very sort of Arcos song, which like, RIP Arcos shippers, because you got like 2 songs, and one was like unrequited, and then one was very sad. Rough time for Arcos shippers. I do like the sentiment that love lasts after death, though. I appreciate that. I didn't cry. I'm good. Proud of myself. We did it, guys. We didn't cry. Only on the inside. Oh my god. Okay. I don't know how much I can analyse here, because this seems to be a very sort of sad, lovey-dovey sort of romantic, love lasts after death, soulmate, destiny sort of thing. I thought it'd be more about death and keeping going and destiny, but it's very sort of Arcos-centric. Which, like, I guess, you know, Jean was, because this does play, like it says on here, plays when Jean finds a statue of Pyrrha. So I guess it does kind of make sense that there is sort of Pyrrha's focus on Jean in this scene, because Ren and Nora don't get there until a while. But my throat's dry. Caffeine. But yeah, I guess that does make sense. It's always a bit when you're someone who doesn't like Jean. I don't like Jean. Like, don't come at me in the comments. I have my reasons, you know. I see why some people can like Jean. I can't. So this is Arcos is a bit strange for me. I mean, if you ship it, you're valid, you know. Pyrrha shipped it at least. But yeah, so this is always a bit strange for me. One of the reasons why, like, I sort of don't listen to Dream Come True as much, because even though it is very catchy, the ship's not really my bag, you know. So I tend to prefer Bumblebee and Boop. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like feeling noticed for the first time, sort of. You know, like, you looked at me, everything felt new, and time slipped away, past seemed to fade, hope restored by you. And your trust, honesty, helped me believe. A ray of hope shined through. You set me free. So that the world can see I found my joy in you. Yeah, so that's very sort of. She felt seen, and like, not as in like notice me senpai kind of nonsense, but I think like one of the things that people want most in the world is to be understood. Like, I don't necessarily. I think understanding overlaps with being understood, and being loved overlaps. I don't think understanding equals love, but I think to love someone to a certain degree, you need to understand about lots of stuff about them. And it seems that Pyrrha, like, felt that she herself had been noticed and understood to be a person and not like this, the invincible girl, this sort of mythologized and figure that had been put on a pedestal her for most of her life. And that's so she opened up to him, he opened up to her, and there's the trust and honesty stuff, and you know, she started to hope that that kind of relationship where you're on like, when you're on like equal footing and you can be yourself around someone and trust them, be vulnerable around them and make each other happy. It seemed like with this talk of hope, she hadn't really thought that was very possible, and when she met Jean, she started to hope that was possible, which is quite sad. I can't imagine Pyrrha had a huge amount of friends growing up. It might have been a bit of a wife situation, but instead of like a bit less manipulative, you know, like you want to get a good word in, you want to be seen with the good people and stuff like that. So Pyrrha might have, you know, had that kind of situation where she had like friends, but not like very many true friends. That's the kind of vibe I get from this. So yeah, it kind of helps me to understand sort of her feelings towards Jean. He didn't know who she was at first, did he? No, he didn't, because of the cereal box thing. Yeah, he didn't know who she was, so it really was like completely equal footing. There was no reputation or anything. They were just people. Really get that vibe from this. I like that. I really do like that. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It really is, but I think that helps to sort of confirm some things that people suspected about Pyrrha's character and contextualise some things. You see a bit of that with like the dance and that, but this really helps to sort of broaden that that idea, like her team, her friends, you know, and Ruby and everything, they must have meant so much to her. And like, of course she'd be willing to risk her life to try and defend all of them and everyone else. Oh. It's sad, you know, just the sort of character development that was sort of just stopped when Pyrrha's life ended, you know? I don't necessarily disagree with the decision to kill Pyrrha. She was based on Achilles. Like, Achilles is known for being the invincible guy who died. He's also known for being the bisexual guy who died, but, you know, they wouldn't have made Pyrrha bisexual back then. Which is a shame. We're getting some LGBT rap now, though, so that's... yeah, so... but, yeah, so the decision to kill Pyrrha and her dying wasn't like a huge shock for me, as it might have been to some people. Like, with Pyrrha's the reason why I didn't, like, research who every character was based off of, because, you know, every character's based off a different character. Pyrrha of Achilles, Joan of Arc and all of that stuff. Because now I know some of them, I know things which could potentially be spoilers. Like, I knew that something bad was going to happen to Pyrrha. I didn't know that she was going to die, but I knew that something was going to happen to her because she was based on Achilles, and Achilles is famous because, like, you know, Achilles' heel for being strong but managing to fall. That's the story that's stuck around. So you can't have an Achilles character without them being strong and falling in some way. It didn't have to be death, but it makes sense that it was death. So I don't disagree with the decision to kill Pyrrha from a writing perspective. From a viewer perspective, it was that. But yeah, I try to separate that sometimes. But I think I went on a bit of a tangent. I don't disagree with the decision to kill Pyrrha, though the character development of her forming real relationships and having everything that she fought for turn from a sort of idea to a reality. It's sad that that was stopped, but I understand why. That was my point. I went a bit off. So yeah, there's all of that. And they talk about this idea of love after death a lot. That's most of the song. I'm a big believer of love being important and it's sticking around after death, and I don't mean that in a sort of romantic way, but I don't not mean in a romantic way. I mean any kind of love, you know, like romantic, familial, friendship, even like the love that we have, love like in ways that I'm not sure what the word is, but you know, like the things you love after death, you don't stop loving them. Like for example, people who are artists and that, when they die, you know, I think like the love that they put in their art and things like that doesn't just immediately disappear and go. I think that sticks around. And for example, if a pet dies, you know, like that pet will always love you, or if you die before your pet, you always love your pet. Things that we don't necessarily, I can't think of any words. There probably are somewhere, because English is a weird language with lots of words. But yeah, I think love is less of a quantifiable thing and more a sort of, I think it's more of a soul thing, you know? And I think it does stick around after death, because everything, the entire world and the experience of it is touched by humans in some way. So it is impossible to like not leave some kind of impact on the world, you know, and it might be physical or whatever, but you'll definitely leave an emotional impact on this world, and that's the sort of thing that I think is think about. I don't know if that makes sense, but the idea of love being wrapped into humanity as a whole. So if one human dies, of course that love stays on, because you've got all these other things. The world is full of things that can sort of maintain and feel love. You know, all these other people and animals and all these sort of things in the world that you can love, like art and hobbies and animals and even plants and everything, you know. That's my sort of thing. I'm a big supporter of love continuing after death. I'm a big supporter of that. So yeah, it does sort of mention that love can be temporary, but this particular love is eternal. Which, yeah, love can, they say like love can be fickle. Love is just complicated, because like every human experiences some kind of love, you know, in whatever way I've described. Even if it's like you enjoy doing an action or something, you love doing that. you know, like, even if, I know there's like, people experience different kinds of love, that's why I feel the need to put a disclaimer, you know, like if you're aromantic, you can experience friendship and family and pet and companionship with pets and all other things, like you can experience the kind of love, all kinds of love, and all those kinds of love can be fickle and people can not get it right and stuff like that, and it can be temporary because people, don't know if you knew this, but people are complicated. So I 100% agree with that too, you know, because love is a very human thing and humans are very complicated, so there can be some conflict and sometimes it can fade after time, you know, some relationships get like that, where for whatever reason people break up or they stop talking to their family, or they stop being friends with someone or something, and that can happen. It's just pure saying, you know, that can happen, but that's not us. Yeah. I said about the thing that I wasn't 100% sure about earlier. Now, what I meant by that is sort of like, I'm going to have a drink because this is going to be a rough thing to say. Basically, what I mean is, I don't like that so much of the focus on Pyrrha after she's died has been on Jean and his feelings. I know that he was her partner, you know, and I mean that in like the sort of designated team partner sort of thing. They didn't get together, like, unfortunately. It would have made them both quite happy, I imagine. But they didn't get together. But I know he was her partner and like the team leader and that, so he was kind of... My issue is more, I don't like when a female character dies and what's emphasised is her relationship with a man, especially if it's like romantic, and it's meant to sort of further his development. And I don't think Pyrrha died purely for Jean's development, before people comment section. I just think that I don't like how much focus is placed on Jean after Pyrrha dies. And I'm not just saying that as someone who's not great with Jean, I'm saying that as like, I think it should be a bit more spread out. Like we see RWBY be a little bit sad, and in Volume 6 we do see a bit from Ren and Nora, but like, pretty much everyone knew who Pyrrha was, and she was like one of the most promising, powerful huntresses, like, just known at that period of time, at her age. And she was so capable and so like brave and noble, and so many people would have respected her, been inspired by her, wanted to work with her one day, wanted to meet her. Maybe they were fans of her, or maybe they're proud of her because like they knew her somehow, or were like mutual friends of the family or whatever. And in the sort of tournament in the festival, the Vital Festival. I forgot the name for a second, that's why I was just like. But, and then they saw her tear, for all intents and purposes, tear a girl apart. She was a robot, so it wasn't gory. But that's still shocking. Like, she killed someone. She just straight up killed someone. And we know, as viewers, that that was not her fault. She could not have helped that. She didn't know what Penny was. And she was being manipulated into using more force than was necessary. She could not have helped him. She had no idea what was going on. So it wasn't Pyrrha's fault. But all these other people, we don't know who knows what. Communications have broken down. That woman who must have been Pyrrha's mum, she clearly believed, and that town, with her statue there, clearly believed that she was a good person and something had gone wrong or whatever. But that's a lot of complex feelings. So many people are going to have all kinds of reactions to Pyrrha's death, which I think would be better to explore. Because people just straight up don't know what's happened. In fact, even like between the teams and everything, people don't know what happened. Like Ren and Nora, you know, we even have that thing where they find out and Ren and Nora are upset and John is very upset and threatens my son, Oscar. But yeah, and it seems strange to me that all of this would be placed on the guy that she had a romantic interest in, and her armour and weapons that weren't destroyed would be given to him. You know? Because, like, however much she cared about him, that's just not... I don't think it's good to have one person be your everything in your entire world, you know? Especially if, like, you know, you're a woman and that man is your everything in the entire world. That's not... I don't think that's 100% healthy. You know, you got to have your own life, your own goals, like other people you care about, and you know, like hobbies, and just you got to have lots of things. You can't have one person be your entire life. You have your own life. Love is living them together. You know, like the Beast said, protecting each other. Love is living together, not living through one another. So, I don't like that all of this has been passed on to Jean. If Pyrrha felt like... Pyrrha was in love with Jean, and she connected to him the way she hadn't connected to anyone else before, and she felt understood and stuff, then, like, great. You know? I can't imagine why someone would love Jean. I do not like Jean. But if she does, writing-wise, great. You know? Great. You can have differing opinions on things. And writing-wise, excuse me, that makes perfect sense to me. But I don't like how much of Pyrrha in the show just relates to Jean. She's introduced, like, where Jean's like, oh, how am I going to find a cute, quirky girl to talk to? When Jean says that, and she's there, and we see her again with Weiss and Jean, and when we see her, almost all the time is Jean, and she dies, and it's even more Jean, and I know. Because, for example, RWBY, Pyrrha would have been someone that she would have fangirled over. You saw her with Glinda, like, can I get your autograph, you know? When she first met her, professional huntress. And, like, Pyrrha's meant to be, like, the up-and-coming... She might have been, if she lived, she might have been one of the best, most well-known huntresses of that time. And RWBY, it seems strange to me that RWBY wouldn't have gotten close to Pyrrha or tried to, and want to train with her and have so much respect for her, and to see someone like that in your brain, you know, kill one of your new best friends, Penny, and then you have to fight to try and make sure she doesn't die, and then she ends up dying anyway, and then you couldn't save her that time. That's devastating. But RWBY doesn't get much focus on Pyrrha, and neither do the other people in the team. And then it's like, I mentioned RWBY because of that stuff I said, you know, the whole fall of Beacon, the Silver Eyes, the thing with Penny, and the fact that RWBY's like, there's a debate whether she's one-off or the main character, but however you feel about it, she is an extremely important protagonist. She is a main character, you know, either A or the. So I feel like she should have got a fair amount of focus, as well as Ren and Nora, because they were on her team. They lived with her, they loved her, they fought and trained with her. So even if Weiss, Blake and Yang didn't get a lot of moments talking or thinking about Pyrrha, I feel like RWBY, Ren and Nora should have at least. And we should have got, like, Pyrrha mentioned a couple of times by some background characters or referenced in some way in different contexts where people felt different things about her. I feel like that's what we should have gotten. So that's the thing. It's like, I'm not against Pyrrha caring about Jean and him being upset that she's dead, because like, he was one of the last people who saw her, and he couldn't stop her from running off and getting herself killed. And he wouldn't have been able to stop her, and she wouldn't have been able to survive unless RWBY somehow got there quicker, which probably could not have happened. You know, these things are very difficult to predict, but yeah, it just seems off to me that all of the stuff with Pyrrha would be focused on this one dude instead of all of these people that would have known about and felt things about Pyrrha. That's my kind of issue with this. I feel like if we'd gotten some more attention split between people, then this song would have felt more sort of touching for me. But yeah, I just don't want everything about Pyrrha to be focused on a man, and I don't think that's what Rooster Teeth intended, but it's kind of accidentally happened. So I'm hoping, well, I am hoping in like the next volume we get mentions about Penny, so hopefully we'll get some mentions about Pyrrha as well. And I don't know, I want her legacy to be more than Jean. Like, Pyrrha didn't even die for Jean. She tried to protect people. She was being a good huntress, and that was sort of her destiny. Like, she knew that she was probably going to die, but she couldn't just not do anything. She trying to protect people wasn't just like the right thing to do, it just was her. It was her destiny. That was very much part of her being. So I'd prefer, like, when they reference Pyrrha in like other songs, like I think in the Triumph they say, like, they mention Destiny or whatever, and every once in a while someone will mention Destiny. And to me, that's what Destiny means in RWBY. Like, the thing that these main characters are doing, trying to save the world and help people and protect people, that's Pyrrha's legacy. That's what means a lot to me about Pyrrha. So when it's pushed towards her wanting to kiss Sean. I'm just kind of like, nah, you know, that is my issue. That's not necessarily 100% related to the song. Some of that's writing in the show, because I very much think that RWBY's been on an upwards trajectory. So it's really high now. Before it was a bit lower. That's sort of what I'm referencing. I think if like Pyrrha had died in volume 5 or whatever, then in volume 6 we would have got some of the stuff that I'd said. But yeah, I think RWBY's very much on an upward trajectory. I think some of the old problems it doesn't have, which I very much appreciate. I very much like to see people grow and get better. Because, like, no one's perfect, but we can be good. We can get better. And that's something we should aim towards. And that's what RWBY the show has been doing. So yeah, that's sort of what makes me notice some of these flaws, because I know RWBY can be better, because it is better now. It's just, we don't see Pyrrha so much in the better now. And that's not to insult old RWBY. You can like old RWBY, you know, it's fine. It's just, I think volume 6, at least in the terms of writing and narrative, is more of what I'd look for than some of the earlier volumes. It doesn't mean that the earlier volumes are bad, because like, I watched them in order to get up to date. Like, I liked them. If I had hated them, I would have stopped watching. So yeah, I do like them. I do think it's a very good song. I think it's very sad, so I'm not going to listen to it a lot. Like, the music made me like want to tear up, because it just reminds me of Cold, which I cannot listen to. I can't listen to it all the way through. I will probably cry, so I never listen to Cold. I probably won't listen to this because the music is so sad, and it just reminds me like, Pyrrha's dead, Pyrrha's dead, Pyrrha's dead, Pyrrha's dead. So the song itself does a good job. I imagine that was some of the intended effect, you know, just like suffering. So that works out well. I'm gonna stop ranting about Pyrrha now. My throat is so... yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about her now. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I guess this mess of a video. But yeah. What do you feel about the song? About Pyrrha? Feel free to comment. Yeah, I hope you have a good day. Bye.